my job is I teach at a university in Scotland, in Aberdeen, and my research area is composing and sound art using technology. And so I have something that's very important to me is the sound of places. And I spend a lot of time making recordings of places all over the world. But sometimes I make pieces of music using the sounds that I record. And I use computers and software to transform the sounds to create electronic music. But I also like to preserve sounds using sound maps. So like they're like photographs in a photograph album, but they are sounds, and I put them on a sound map. And they're like museums. I think of them as museums of sound, so that I can place sounds in particular places, and people can listen to them. When we went into lockdown in the UK, I thought we were going. I mean, it's a terrible time, and I'm not trying to make light of it or trivialize it anyway. But we found ourselves in a situation where there was no traffic on the roads, there were no planes in the sky, and it was going to be very different as far as our ears were concerned. So I wanted to capture that, and I wanted to somehow preserve the sounds that are there. So it fits in exactly with my research. But the good thing about this as well, because this is also important to me, is that people send me the sounds. It's not me that's recording them. And I always ask people to make comments about the sounds that they hear and how those sounds have changed, because that's really important, because I want to make people use their ears. And that's what my project is all about. Bird sounds are different from each country as well. Oh, wow. And so I have a really interesting sound sent to me from Chile in South America, where they have frogs, lots of frogs in the city, but you don't normally hear those because of the traffic. But when there was no traffic there, you could hear the frogs. But of course, you wouldn't have frogs in other cities. But this is just in Chile. So yeah, it's fascinating hearing the different sounds. And in India as well. So I hear the sound of people in the streets selling fruit, and selling papayas and bananas and mangoes and so on. But you wouldn't have that in the United Kingdom. So for me, some of the sounds have a beauty, and that has a strong effect on me, because it's a sound of a place, and that helps me learn about the place. But some of the sounds are not about the place so much, and that's where these announcements are. So the announcements come from lots of things. You can have announcements in railway stations, in airports, but you can also have radio announcements, and I've been collecting them as well. So I have the public service announcements for COVID from all over the world, because this is the museum idea for me as well, because in 10 years' time, we will all be looking back on COVID in a different way. We don't know what it's going to be like, but we know that COVID will have been a very, very important part of all. One of the things I want to do is to capture some of that sound. So it will be like the sound map will remain, and people can listen to it like they can go to a museum, but they go online and they can listen to the sounds. So hopefully that has an emotional impact in the future for people as they listen back to this very strange time that we are living in now.
नमस्ते, ये कॉल आपको टाटा ट्रस्ट की ओर से कोरोना वायरस की रोकथाम और बचाव के लिए किया गया है। सरकार के दिशा निर्देशों पर आधारित ये संदेश पूरा सुने।
नमस्ते और आदाब दोस्तों। कोरोना वायरस को हराना है तो सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग यानी कि सामाजिक दूरी को बढ़ाना है।
My hope is that this time will have made us realize how important our ears are for our well-being and for our mental health as well. And I think it is having that effect. So another hope is that when we come out of lockdown, say in a year's time, and we are all vaccinated and we can get back to some kind of normal, that we will want to know where have the birds gone? Okay, I could hear the birds during lockdown. Why can't I hear them now? And that perhaps we can put pressure on our cities, our not our architects, but our planners in the cities, for them to actually understand that we need these natural sounds around us for our well-being, and that perhaps the way we think about planning cities in the future might be different because of this. With the map, the next stage is, as we come out of lockdown, I'm collecting sounds as we go back to, or we go into the next stage, so that we can compare what it was like in lockdown and then what it has become. And with some of the sounds that were recorded in lockdown, I've been able to get sounds before lockdown, so what a place sounded like before. So I'm making these comparisons. So that will continue for the next year. I'm hoping that people who've sent me sounds will then send me how it's changed again. And then we keeping a kind of record of the changes in the soundscape. Another thing is that I'm going to be making some pieces of music using the sounds that people have sent me. So I will take recordings from all over the world. I've started one recently where it starts in America and then I go on a journey and then we land in Turkey and then we listen to that sound and then we go on another journey and land somewhere else. So a kind of guided tour of the different parts of the planet where sounds have been sent to me.